Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Happy December 1st. Today we are going to create 10 cards with the Spellbinders card kit of the month for December. It's called Beauty is Everywhere. Now what you see here is what I created with the dies this month during the unboxing. I just put a gold strip behind it to make it extra special. But I mentioned during the unboxing, which I'll link at the end of the video, guys, if you want to check it out and missed it. But I mentioned that I thought this would make a pretty card on its own. So that's what we're going to do. I have a 3/4 inch strip of white cardstock I trimmed down. It is 5 inches long. So there's going to be a little bit overhanging when I adhere my border strip to it. The border strip's meant to go the length of your card base, so it's going to be supposed to be 5.5 inches, but this is a 1/4 inch shy. I did this because I have a panel that I created with the taupe or the tan colored cardstock in the kit this month. That measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So when I line up the border over the top, just those little end pieces are going to hang out. If you wanted to just trim those off, you could, but I kind of liked it overhanging. We're going to flip over our taupe or our tan colored cardstock, directly adhere this to our card base. This card's going to be a landscape style card, and of course we're going to have a little border. And I'm not going to add any sentiment to this card. I thought it'd be nice to have a little note card on hand for any occasion, for teachers' notes, neighbors. It's always nice to have blank cards sometime, but of course if you wanted to add a sentiment, I think putting it in the border strip would be a perfect place for it. I just popped this up, added foam adhesive behind it. We're going to place this on the bottom of our card base. And I think that border strip is so pretty, guys. It's so lacy looking. This kit's kind of, I would say, vintage, and the dies this month are just gorgeous. I created the butterfly during the unboxing too. I just die cut out the base of the butterfly with the gold mirror cardstock, and then I added the insert, which is the detail butterfly piece. Die cut that out with white cardstock, and I just created an ombre look with some Copic markers. I popped that up, put that on my border, and then now we're going to add our flowers. And we're going to add 2 different sizes. These are layering flowers in the dies. I just used some teal colored cardstock. These we're going to add adhesive to also. And then I colored in my leaf here with my green Copic marker. I'm going to add that. So basically, during the unboxing, I kind of arranged it. We're doing the same thing for our card. I'm just flipping over this flower so the green leaf is in that border area. But that's card number 1. I think it's so pretty. And we're going to move along to card number 2. For card number 2, we have some white cardstock. We're going to do a little bit of stamping. To do our stamping, we have to have our stamp set, of course. And I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink in an acrylic block. There's a love square in the set. I thought it'd be fun to create a background with this, so I want it to be 2 rows wide, 3 rows tall. My acrylic block barely made the size of my stamp, so I was trying to make it centered so I could stamp evenly, which I didn't do too well, so I had to flip it over and restamp. But again, we're just stamping 6 of these. There's a few areas where I didn't stamp too well on this bottom area. I'm not too worried about it. Since it's a straight line, I'm going to bring in my memento marker and we'll just clean up that line. Now, after we have this cleaned up, we'll take the paper trimmer and trim off the excess just so we have a love-filled panel. And we got to put the stamp back or I will lose it. Once our panel is cut, I realized on the very top I missed an area, so I'm just taking my memento marker and just finishing that line as well. Okay, I have trimmed down some pattern paper that is a card front panel size. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. It's the black pattern paper with the scripty words on it. This is going to go directly in front of my card base. Just measuring it corner to corner. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our panel we created. I put foam adhesive behind it. I'm just removing the release paper, and this is going to go in the center of our card base. To embellish it, make it a little bit more vintage, I'm taking one of the floral 3D chipboard stickers and just putting it right in the center. Next, for embellishing, I'm going to bring in our real pretty sequins, guys. There's two different colors. There's like a rose gold and there's like a matte pink. For this card, we're going to go ahead and use the rose gold. I wanted a little bit of sparkle. Actually, I take that back. I think the matte pink worked a little bit better because it coordinated with the flower. So we use the matte sequins for this, just 3 of them. That's card number 2. Okay, moving along to our next project, I have 2 pieces of our pattern paper. We're going to take the striped, and there's some embossed detail on here, which is really nice. I'm trimming this one down to 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches tall. Next, we're going to take our black. It's kind of like it has a little distressed look to it, kind of a smoky gray black color. I'm creating a panel with this that measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. We're going to mat that striped paper on our black paper. I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner and lightly tack these 2 together where I want them. And then I'm going to bring in a circle die. There's a chipboard circle, the 3D chipboard embellishment, that I wanted to make sure that this circle was a little bit larger. So I found one. This is my hem stitch circles actually work perfectly. I'm going to die cut out of the window in that pattern paper we just cut. Now I'm going to keep those 2 circles. We're going to use the black circle and the striped circle that we die cut out for 2 other cards. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and adhere both of these together. I suppose I could use the tape runner and tape them together, but I didn't want those circles to be together, so it was easier for me to do this separately. We're going to use the black circle on one project, the striped circle on another one. But we're going to adhere this directly to our card base, just centering it. And you can see I already have that 3D chipboard sticker. Again, this barely fit in there, but it does leave a little bit of a white border around it. And then I trimmed down two smaller pieces of that black distressed pattern paper. I thought this was perfect to create an award out of. I just fishtailing both of the ends. Now both of these aren't exactly the same width, but I wasn't too concerned about that. I think it's just going to add a little bit more character, but I'm going to add a little adhesive to one of my banners, kind of add the other one overlapping, and then this is going to go tucked underneath to create that little award banner. Add a little adhesive behind it. Just going to make sure it's straight. We're putting them in between the chipboard layers, and it's a very clean looking card, but I think it looks kind of fun. Something a little different. And that finishes off that card. Now we're moving along to our 4th card. I have a chipboard photo frame. They're adhesive back, so I just removed the release paper, and then I did trim down some pattern paper that had the hot air balloons on it. This is going to go in the window of the photo frame. Since it's adhesive back, that's going to stick perfectly. And then I do have a piece of white cardstock that's the same size. I trimmed down the same size as our photo frame. I did this because I want to have a little stability. We're going to pop this up with foam adhesive. And so I wanted, I didn't want, the pattern paper is kind of on the thinner side, so I just basically added the white cardstock for stability. Okay, next we have a real pretty border we are going to use at the bottom of our card base, but before we use it, we're going to add some of that tan colored cardstock. It measures 1.5 inches wide, 1.5 inches tall, I should say, by 4.5 inches, 4 1/4 inches wide. This is going to be a perfect tone to put our real pretty border that was in the die cut pack on. I'm just making sure it's even. We're going to trim off the excess here. The tan colored cardstock is very subtle, but I like the differentiate between the white and the tan in between the borders. I think it looks real vintage. I added foam adhesive behind my photo frame, and then we're going to go ahead and place this on our card base. But it covers up my border, so what we're going to do is remove it, and we're going to add our border directly on the seam of our tan colored cardstock. So basically 1.5 inches above the bottom edge of our card base. This way you can see that pretty border. We'll add our photo frame, and then we have some more die cuts that we're going to use for this card. this, you can actually punch out the center of that doily. I'm not going to do that. We're going to do a little layering with it. So we have the little scallop circle. We're going to add a foam square behind, pop this up on that gray piece. This is going to be part of our sentiment. And then we're going to add adhesive behind this. This is going to overhang on our photo frame on the right side. Going to make sure it's centered here. Lovely. And then we're going to take the little ticket that we have that came from the die cut pack. I'm adding adhesive directly behind this, and this is going to overlap a little bit on the left side for a little balance. And then I have the butterfly. I chose a neutral colored butterfly. There's some real pretty colored ones in the die cut pack, but I wanted a neutral one for this card. We pop that up and put that inside of our window photo frame. And then for my sentiment, I have another die cut piece. We're going to go ahead and add adhesive behind this and add this to the lower portion of our photo frame, kind of tucking it underneath the wing of that butterfly. Once we have that adhered, we're going to go ahead and embellish this card with a few sequins. We're going to add some glue, and then we're going to use some of the rose gold for this card. Just 3 of them, 2 above the butterfly and then 1 just below it on the right. And that is that card, number 4, our little collage card. Now for our next project, it's going to be very simple. I'm using some of the leftover stripe paper. We are going to adhere this all the way to the left, sorry, all the way to the right of, you should see me driving, guys. All the way to the right of our card base. And then this alphabet pattern paper, it measures 2¼ inches wide by 5½ inches long. So it's going to go the width of our card base. I'm just putting it over our stripe paper. So the stripe paper, there's about 1/2 inch showing. Any excess overhanging, we're going to go ahead and trim off. And then this is where we're going to use one of those circles that we die cut out with card number 2. But instead of having it go lines horizontal like our edge, I wanted a diagonal. So we'll turn it so our stripes are at a diagonal. And then we're going to use 2 more of our die cut pieces. I have this little piece that says Celebrate You. We're going to pop this up with foam adhesive, layer that on our little doily piece. And then we'll flip this over and I'll add 1 more foam square and layer this on our striped circle. So pretty simple card. But I thought this would be a nice birthday card, but there wasn't any sparkle to it. So we're going to add some sparkle. I have some sparkle silk from Spellbinders. And you have to shake the bottle up. It's like a nail polish bottle. You have to shake it up really good. But this stuff adds so much sparkle. It's kind of really hard to tell on camera, but I'm just using the brush tip and tapping it and getting some splatters in the background, and it really does have a lot of silvery sparkle to it. And we'll let this dry, and then that will finish off card number 5. Pretty simple card, and I think it'd be great for a boy or a girl. And I had a real crooked craft mat, sorry about that. Now for card number 6, we are going to take our border die and die cut out a white lacy border with this, and then I'm going to bring in some pattern paper that I trimmed down that is actually 4¼ inches wide. This is going to go on the upper portion of my card base. So we're basically going to have about a 1½ inch area on the bottom of our card base. Maybe about a 1 inch area. Once that's adhered, I am going to go ahead and take one of our borders from our die cut pack. We're going to line this over the bottom edge. And then we have that beautiful lacy die cut piece, which it die cut beautifully. You didn't have to punch any of the pieces out. They just kind of all fell out, which was really nice. This is going to line a layer on top of our die cut border, and it really creates a feminine lacy look. I love the way this looks. We're going to trim off the excess. And then I have another die cut piece that is the orangey colored floral rose piece. We're going to add this to the left side, and then I also have the chipboard typewriter. We're going to layer that right on top of that floral. Since this is overhanging, I did have to trim off the excess there. And then we're going to bring in some rose gold sequins for a little added sparkle. There's sparkle in the chipboard sticker and then also on that die cut piece, but we're going to add a little bit more using the rose gold sequins. But after we have these adhered, that finishes off that card. Kind of a very soft vintage lacy look, I would say. But try layering those two borders together. You're going to really love the outcome. Okay, once we have this done, we're going to go ahead and start in with our card number 7. I have lots of pattern paper, including this strip is actually a strip that was left over from our previous card, that orange colored pattern paper. It's a 1-inch strip, and I'm going to mat that on our brick pattern paper that measures 1.5 inches. So we have a border on the top and the bottom, and for this card we're going to use the black circle that we die cut out again from card number 2. Put those pieces, a lot of circles in these cards, guys. I'm in a circle mood, I suppose. Now we're going to adhere some of the alphabet pattern paper to our card base. That measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. We'll take this border we created and put this across our card base from end to end. Any excess overhanging we're going to trim off. And then we'll flip over our circle. We'll add lots of adhesive behind this. And this is going to go on that border strip that we created with that orange and brick pattern paper. I have 2 of the die cut butterflies. It's nice that they have 2 of each die cut. I'm going to layer them both together to create a dimensional butterfly. So this first one we're going to directly adhere in the center of that black circle, making sure it's nice and straight. And then this one we are going to add some foam squares behind. I want to add 1 to the center and then 1 to each area of the wings, but I want to double up on the foam adhesive so it looks like it's fluttering almost. And then this way when you run this through your envelope, it's not going to smash. It's a nice little trick there. For my sentiment, I'm using With Love. It's a little die cut piece that was in our die cut pack. We'll add foam adhesive behind this, and I'll do a little tucking with that, tucking it underneath the wing of the butterfly. And then last but not least, I do need a little sparkle. I didn't want to add no sequins, so I'm going to bring back my little sparkle silk jar. And again, I got to shake it up really good, but I'm going to add a little bit to the body of the butterfly, and I'm going to go around the antenna of the butterfly also. This is really going to add some silvery sparkle to this card while still keeping it subtle. And then that is card number 7. We're going to move along to card number 8. I have a piece of the white cardstock in the kit, and we're going to do a little stamping. I'm taking the butterfly. There's 2 butterflies. I want the butterfly in the top left corner of your stamp set. I'm going to stamp that again with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's a nice dark ink. And I want 3 butterflies, but that second one we stamped didn't stamp all the way. So we're going to stamp 3 in a row, and then I'm just going to use my scissors and fussy cut each one of these butterflies out. I think the black and white butterflies is going to really go great with this pattern. Once I have all 3 of these fussy cut, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my foam squares. And you know what, guys, you can use the foam squares that the kit came with, and also the double-sided tape. It works great. But these foam squares are just a lot quicker when I do videos, and then my tape runner is a lot quicker than using the double-sided tape too. So don't be afraid to use that stuff. It's pretty good stuff. I have this rose black and white pattern paper. I ended up adhering that to another border strip we recreated with the die this month using white cardstock. I layered them both together with my tape runner, and then we're going to adhere that all the way to the left of our card base. Once we have that trimmed down, we're going to go ahead and take 2 of the die cut pieces. These are both the same, and we're going to layer them together just to add a little color to this card. For the most part, it's going to be black and white, but I did want a little bit of color. We're going to kind of overlap them, and then I have a sentiment that I'm going to use, a die cut that I'm going to use for my sentiment. We're going to add some foam adhesive behind this, and then this is going to go in between those flowers. I think it's going to work out perfectly. The sentiment says, enjoy the little things. I always think that looks always great with butterflies. And I think that's a perfect place for it. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of our stamped butterflies. We'll put one below our sentiment and then two just above it. One on the flower over here I think would look really pretty. And it wasn't flowing right. Let's put it up here on the top. And then I'm not going to add any more bells and whistles. I just think that looks really soft but bold at the same time. So that finishes card number 8. Now for card number 9, I have another one of our chipboard frames. We're going to remove the release paper and add some black cardstock behind it. And when I did this, I kind of had to change gears because it really looked like a chalkboard to me. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our stamp set and we're going to stamp with some white ink. I'm using a Hero Arts unicorn ink. It's a nice white pigment ink. And we're going to stamp the bird that's standing on top of the flower with this ink and put that in our chalkboard. I love doing this. Just making sure it's all covered. And put this up in the top left corner. I'm only going to stamp one image because for the most part the other areas we're going to cover up with the 3D flower, chipboard flower that you see there, and then we're also going to bring in that circle die cut for this card too. So one was plenty. Takes a little time to dry, so I'm airing it out, and then once it was dry I added foam adhesive behind it and placed that on my card base along with my 3D chipboard flower here. The banner kept wanting to sag, so to balance it we need to add a couple pieces of foam, some foam squares behind it just so it laid flat. There's a lot of dimension here with that, so this is going to help. Okay, I have my little gray colored chipboard, it's not chipboard, it's actually a die cut. We're going to add foam adhesive behind that. This is going to go in the bottom left corner. I'm just making sure the love is right side up. And then after we have this done, we're going to go ahead and embellish with some of those rose gold sequins. And then also the butterfly stickers that came with the kit this month. I'm just trying to figure out a perfect place for this, and I think this is going to work out good. There's already foam adhesive behind these stickers, so all we have to do is peel and stick, which is nice. Let's finish off with those rose gold sequins, just adding 3, and then that will complete our card number 9. Another little collage card with our little chalkboard look. Now for my final card today, we have some pattern paper that I trimmed down. It's the neutral tan colored. I'm adhering this to my card base. This is 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall, so I do have a little bit of a white border. I die cut out one more of the borders with white cardstock, you could see there, and then I have some die cut pieces. This doily was so pretty, we're going to add that to the upper right corner, and then we're going to use one of our chipboard 3D stickers. We're going to add that, overlapping that real pretty pink doily. We're going to add adhesive behind our lacy border here, put that on the bottom. We'll trim off the excess. That little 3D sticker, the chipboard sticker, has a message on there. It says a little note to tell you, and then the to tell you is the same font as this little sentiment strip that says you are my happiness. So I thought that worked out great. I am going to pop up that sentiment strip with some foam adhesive, and you can see I already tucked in another one of those die cuts that had the bird on it. Kind of tuck that underneath on top of the doily and underneath that little chipboard sticker there. I'm going to add one more die cut piece. This is that bow that has that embossed glitter on there. It kind of matches the doily really well. I'm putting that in the corner, and then we're going to finish it off with some of the rose gold sequins. Again, just 3. I think 3 is plenty. But that finishes card number 10. Another little collage card, a vintagey collage card. Now we're going to look at all of our projects that we created with the Spellbinders Card Kit of the Month for December 2021. Again, this month's kit is called Beauty is Everywhere. Kind of had a vintage kind of a theme, and I hope I give you a variety of cards. But I love vintage, and I think it's a fabulous kit. A little break from our holiday cards. And if you're interested in the kit, guys, I'll have links down below. And if you want to see still shots, you can head on over to my blog. I usually put my favorite card at the very top of the pictures, and then the 9 rest are right below it. And I'll leave my coordinating blog link down below if you guys want to head on over there. But I thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry I missed last month's kit. I did really miss it. I have so much fun with the Spellbinders card kits. But have a great day. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again real soon, guys. Bye-bye.